Okay guys, so I don't know what it is, but it seems to be there's something in the water or maybe something in the air, because all these scammers, all these fake gurus, they're finally facing justice. Last video I did on Ty Lopez, he's big trouble with the SEC, and now we have the CEO of a company. It turns out her entire company was a scam, and now she's going to prison for 7 years. She's not getting the old slap on the wrist from the SEC like Ty Lopez is. She's going to prison, right? Entire thing was a scam. She tried to scam JP Morgan Chase, which is never a good idea, guys. It's going to be very hard for you to scam one of the most successful, oldest, and most established banks in the entire world. That's not going to end well for you trying to scam JP Morgan Chase. So we're going to take a quick look at this article from Yahoo covering the story, and then I'll give more details as to what was actually happening with this whole scam. So right here from Yahoo, it says Charlie Javis, sentenced to 7 years in prison for 175 million JP Morgan fraud, 4 years after buying 1.4 million luxury Miami home. Disgraced tech mogul Charlie Javis broke down in tears as she was sentenced to 7 years behind bars for swindling JP Morgan Chase out of 175 million by falsifying information about the success of her fintech startup Frank. Javis, 33, sold her company to the banking giant in 2021. However, it was later revealed that she had inflated its customer base by millions ahead of the acquisition, according to the Associated Press, in a case that drew many comparisons with the downfall of Elizabeth Holmes and her startup Theranos. The former Forbes 30 Under 30, we'll get to the Forbes list in just a minute, that's very interesting. But the Forbes 30 Under 30 honoree who appeared on the illustrious list in 2019 was convicted in March on charges of securities fraud, wire fraud, bank fraud, and conspiracy after a judge ruled that she had fabricated more than 3.5 million Frank user accounts alongside her defendant and former chief growth officer, Oliver Amir. So the website she set up, it was called Frank. Initially, I think it was called Frank FAFSA. Let me look this up. Yeah, so initially it was called frankfafsa.com. If you don't know what FAFSA is, it's the free application for federal student aid. It's a government program, and this website was designed to help people use the FAFSA easily and be able to sign up and get federal aid much easier. Now, for me personally, I used the FAFSA back in, not Frank, I didn't use their website, but I used the federal website, FAFSA, back in 2009 when I first went to college. It actually is very helpful for someone like me. My parents didn't provide me any money to go to college, thanks Mom and Dad, so I had to pay for it all myself. The FAFSA was very helpful. It got me a bunch of Pell Grants and stuff like that. And then when I transferred, I initially went to a community college. And then when I transferred to a 4-year, I was able to get government-backed student loans through the FAFSA program. I went to a private school, so I had to get some private and government-backed loans. And the government-backed loans are a great deal because the private loan that I got from Sallie Mae, the interest on that, I think, was like 25%, which was insane, right? The government-backed loans that I got through FAFSA was 2%. So that is a much better deal. The actual FAFSA program is very helpful to a lot of people to be able to afford college. So her company, Frank, was trying to get people to, their website was designed to help people use the FAFSA easier. Now, in my opinion, again, I haven't used it since 2009. The FAFSA itself is a very easy website to use. So this seems like one of this like middleman type companies that doesn't really need to exist. I don't really know why this was created other than to try and make this lady and her accomplice very, very rich. Now, initially, like I said, it was called frankfafsa.com. The Department of Education actually sued them because they actually have a trademark on the acronym FAFSA. So they had to change their website to withfrank.org. When they changed it to withfrank, that has no connection to FAFSA at all. I don't know anyone who would like go to, I need help with FAFSA, so you go to a website called withfrank.org. That doesn't make any sense at that point. So the company was launched in 2016. Again, then it was sold in 2021 to JP Morgan Chase. Javis claimed at the time, according to the lawsuit, that they had 4.25 million users, but according to the lawsuit, they only had less than 300,000. Now, apparently they paid a data science professor $18,000 to create a list of fake user-generated names and addresses so they could pump up their numbers, which caused JP Morgan to want to buy them because they apparently had 4.2 million users, right? Now, what's really interesting how JP Morgan found out that this entire company was a scam was, if you don't know, a lot of companies, they want to buy people's data. That's where the real money is. You know, your email, your phone number, all that stuff. So JP Morgan, they bought this company, 4.2 million email addresses. They emailed everyone, and they found out that more than 70% of the emails could not be delivered. So these were either fake or closed email accounts. So that, obviously that was a huge red flag to JP Morgan Chase when they, buy this company, and 70% of the emails they send out cannot be delivered because those people don't actually exist. These are fake customers that were made to pump up the numbers. Again, this is very much like, it's in a different field, like the Theranos, the Elizabeth Holmes and Theranos. But I would not be surprised if this lady has a Netflix movie or a Hulu series made about her at some point. Now, one thing I want to touch on that they talked about in the Yahoo article was that she was initially on the Forbes 30 under 30 list. Now, if you're familiar with this list, it is quite infamous because of how many people Forbes has put on their 30 under 30 in different fields, whether that be like finance or law. They highlight these people. They think these people are going to be the future, right? And so many of these people who have been on the Forbes 30 under 30 list eventually go to prison, right? So that's why a lot of people call it the Forbes to fraud pipeline. So let's go over some of the people that were initially on this list as well. You had Sam Bankman-Fried, who was on the list in 2021. He was the one running the whole FTX scam. And then you had Caroline Ellison, which was Sam's girlfriend. She was on the list in 2022, also running the FTX scam. Now we have Charlie Javice, the person we're talking about in this article. She was on the list in 2019. You had Nate Paul, who was a finance guy. He was convicted of lying to lenders. And then you had Martin Shkreli, who was on the finance list in 2013. He went to jail for stock manipulation. And then you had Cody Wilson. He was involved in the law aspect of the law and policy back in 2014. He was on the list. He actually went to jail for, I don't know if I can say that, for offenses against children. So he got in big trouble for that. Then you have people like Lucas Dublin. He was in finance in 2014. He went to jail for misuse of raised funds. And then there's a bunch of other people who have also not gone to jail, but they've been accused or they're currently in lawsuits. You have Do Kwon. He's the leader of a large cryptocurrency platform. 2019 finance honoree. He's facing finance fraud charges. And then you have Jessica Ma, who was accused of financial embezzlement and harassment. So there's a lot of people on this Forbes 30 under 30 list where it basically, if you get on that list, it's like it's the curse of death. You're pretty much guaranteed that you, at least a majority of people on that list are going to end up in prison or in a major lawsuit in a few years. But there you go. There's the story on Charlie Javice. She is going to prison for 7 years. This is an accusation, right? She's pled guilty, so this is the punishment she has to face. Hopefully, we can get some more scammers in prison soon. But let me know what you think about Charlie Javice going to prison for 7 years for her scam company Frank, which had way less users than she claimed. Let me know in the comments below.